If you don't take care of it, if anything happens, Nigeria no normally remember their heroes. If not because of his wife, I don't think we will have a continued program for him when it's not allowed. But he told me, he said the basic plan to me that he's ready to lay track for the struggle for Nigeria. So we are here because of the philosophy and ideology of my good friend that stood for when it was allowed on the basis of true federalism. And it's one of the products that was in the National Conference in 2014. And we know how we fought to make sure that the content that will move Nigeria forward is being accepted in national conference. That was a time it was so difficult to unite Southern delegates. Yinka Odumakin is one of the place unity of the Southern delegates. No, I will be an office to fight for the Yoruba people and Nigeria, but there's limit I can do like when I was still on But most of us in the struggle, I realized that we always get quiet when we're supposed to learn voices on issues that moves on people. The issue of proof federalism, the issue of there's a lot of injustice that is going on in this country. As many what Abacha have done for us in 1990, I've seen something similar in Nigerian democracy now. In a situation that we are moving to one party system as a country. In a situation that the people in power, those in power, are using judiciary to suppress the will of the people. To the extent of partisanship that we are driving to one party. If care is not taken, we have only one sole candidate in January as a president to contest the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it's not only so already. All hands must be on deck. We know what we passed through in 1999 during the struggle of this democracy. But Yoruba will tell you, ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ní solution, àbẹ̀rẹ̀ tó bá ṣe tó fi àwọn. So we must not say that our tribe is in power. We should get power, get quiet. If it's nothing to have the second time, we spent 8 years in power. After 8 years, if you want to rise up against any tribe that becomes the president, just shut up. When your tribe was there, what did you do? So we have to realize that. If you don't realize that, when you come after 8 years, if the president is lucky to have the opportunity to govern this country for second time. So we should wake up and make sure we do the right thing and make sure justice prevails in this country, irrespective of any crime that the industry welcome. So I will commend my brother. So they are commending when they make that. But we don't have the capacity like yours. Because if I rise up on certain issue, in the morning before 12 o'clock, I will get about 60 calls. But at the same time, sometimes I still shake my body as the person that have the background and some activities. So I commend you for coming to this program. I commend you for not forgetting the role our friend has played in this role. Only ẹni tó bá ṣe tí ó fọ́ ọ̀nà àkọ́jọ́ tó mọ̀ máa lọ ẹlòmíì àṣetì. Those who do the right thing for the materials, when time for him to leave this world, another person is celebrating. We are here to celebrate the philosophy and the ideology of Yinka Odumakin. And I believe God Almighty will celebrate every one of us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was a solemn address, very critical. So, that's the tone for this lecture. It's actually a lecture. And the topic that we are going to be speaking to, because of our gathering today, is Can Nigeria's democracy work without restructuring? And we saw that Yinka was a man of conviction. Yinka believed in a restructured Nigeria. He fought for a restructured Nigeria. He was convinced we don't need to patronize Yinka. He was convinced about the cause. He would go to see to realization. Of course. And we're glad that we have leaders who are going to be speaking to this topic today. So right about now, we go straight into Yinka Odumakin, random Muslim on an activist. It was just a collection of all the interviews. And some of the interviews I was granted, just to see where they're coming from.
Comrade Yinka Odumakin is celebrates the fire as a struggle. It was a strange coincidence that was hatched by Providence and delivered from the celestial realm to the terrestrial plane on the 1st December 1956. This one came assembled to commemorate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Our baby comrade cried from a cradle in an honor of a tempestuous globe to begin a journey which actualized his mountain destiny. As a champion of human rights, his fearless commitment to truth and justice knew no bounds. He courageously marched where many feared to tread. He dared the high and mighty and expressed nationalism. The Nigerian human rights community celebrates him, where the nation still searches for one who will wear his big shoes and rights with his postulating pen.
The greatest weapon to go today is economy. I believe that the government should have a thinking economic that can address issues. But beyond that, there's the fundamental point of the structural problem is what we're facing. We have to address the structure of governance, the structure of the country. We will not solve all our problems if the structure is there today. All right. But we're not solving them, we don't solve it. Let me say that this is one of the very good news that have come out of this special today. Because it is a good development that will entrench and allow participative democracy in our country. Don't forget, if you go back to history, 1979, the other elections that we had was where we started with national elections, and you ended with the presidential elections. And that elections, the MPA that formed governments at national level, they won only 7 out of 19 states. UPA won 5 states, and the other parties, GMPP, PRP, FPP, won the middle states. They shared it. In fact, for the MPA to form government, they went for that FPP here. You saw the strength of each party reflected. The MPN did not win in Kaduna, they didn't win in Gogola, they didn't win in Kano. They won about major 3 states in the north. Now, in the place like Gogola, the subsidy, UPN won all the senatorial seats. And it was kind of a reflection of the strength of the political parties.
How do you gain speed on the resolutions from this meeting that you just had? How do you gain speed
knowing well that if you cannot work with the National Assembly, then you're going nowhere. No, no, no. If not, we are not going to go to the Assembly. If the National Assembly they are ready to do the needful, we are ready to work. If they are nice, that there's an historic responsibility, and Nigeria is not at peace. The country is going down, and they want to stand for their historic responsibility to ensure that we work the constitution. We work with them. In fact, it says everybody all the problems, all the ambitions. If they know the statement and know that look, the time comes for this, you work with them happily. But if they don't, if they are doing what they are doing, like they protect over the evolution part in the recent amendment, then they don't have financing on this matter. That's what I think. So, in other words, if this doesn't go the way you expect it to go, there is going to be established the rise of an Oduduwa Republic. Is that what you say? I could say this. Since independence, the Yoruba have been subjected to all kinds of indignities in Nigeria. From Awolowo to Abiola. Well, that's a good claim to say it. And from look, you remember the two emergency elections happened in Western Nigeria. All traffic from Awolowo, Abiola was locked up for 5 years, he was liquidated, they brought the tutor and life of here, they brought the dead body to us. In no restrictions, you have never questioned the couple that said on here for once. We are brothers. And up till now, we are still insisting that we can restructure this country, make it good for everybody, live in happiness. That's what we say. But there are no people who are saying that look, they are Muslim like. Even at yesterday, you can see kind of placards, some kind of messages that social is too late now. But mainstream right, we are still insisting that we can negotiate for federation within which all the stakeholders in Nigeria can live in happiness, fulfill their civilization, live in peace and cooperate. But on the basis of unity constitution, I want to say this before in his book, Thought from the Nigeria Constitution, on page 56, very clear that any attempt to run Nigeria along unity lines will produce of discontent, disharmony, fighting among the people, and that the whole machinery of government will crumble under bureaucratic socialism, except to bring superhuman beings to run the affairs of Nigeria. Now here we are. In Nigeria, the kind of language we talk. But you've not answered the question. Yes. In the event where all this failed to crystallize, will you have a Oduduwa Republic? That's what you want. No, we're in the mainstream leadership. We are not the one asking for Oduduwa Republic. There are other who ask for Oduduwa Republic. But we are able to them, let's structure. If we restructure Nigeria, we don't need a government. What will give rise to those elements, give me a tendency, is in the shooter restructuring. Then we have no basis. It was the worst cause. So what happened was go back to the restructuring. But we, mainstream leadership, we're not going to go back on that. You know, let's restructure Nigeria, let's make it work, and believe Nigeria will work.
But can this core succeed without support from the North?
Well, when we say North, there is a groundswell of support for the structure of the North. The entire Middle Belt, they are not ones in Abuja. They have agreed on the structure. When you go to the Northeast, you have people like Atiku and the rest of them. When you go to the Northwest, you are not a lack of support of people for this agenda. It's, I think today, those who are against the structure, they are very few. You know that they are far. And so I do not think that it's not just a standard thing. It's a nationwide thing. But there is a few powerful forces who are standing against it. But it's for the benefit of all. But like you said about SC, I think it's still good on agenda. It's very clear that we should, like when 2014 conference said, we should take efforts to develop mineral resources across all over Nigeria, in the north, in the south, everywhere. Because this is there. It's only at the very constitution, 1999 constitution, saying that all those mineral resources are affected in federal government. We say take it to the federal unit. If we are using that very much for federal budget to develop all this land, and for about 10 years, 10 years, we can still continue doing what we are doing now, or we develop all those things, so we care for everybody.
Well, as Nigeria fared in the democratic dispensation in the last 27 years or 21 years. My answer today is an law. We're now being joined by Yinka Odumakin, obviously the Secretary of Affairs, the Pan-Yoruba Social Political Organization, as well as co-convener of the Southern and Middle Belt Elders Forum. Good morning, Yinka Odumakin, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, as we've been saying on this side of the equation, we can say today is indeed a day of reflection. 27 years after the historic June 12, 1993 election. When you look back and you look to the future, how do you feel? Do you think we have fared well? Do you think that, as Rufai pointed out earlier, this is a democracy as Edgar Abela died?
Well, I was listening to your guest yesterday talking about the promise of June 12. When it was farewell to poverty, today we're the global secretary of poverty. In 1993, it was hope 93. Today the land is filled with hopelessness. In 1993, what Abdullah was telling us was the rejuvenation of land. Today it's not so. And we are in the midst of COVID-19 now. Even our central government said on TV that was never aware that our health situation is this bad. So looking back at 1993 and now, you can see that we have made so many steps backward. And I listened to the president this morning, looking at progress. Instead of showing dividends of democracy on the ground, it was more promises. Oh, so is undergoing. Oh, so is loading. Oh, so is planning. That was not so. And more importantly, June 12 was about nationality question. Like we said earlier this year, the day Abela and the Grandman defeated over in the Skype states, when a Muslim ticket won the regional Christian areas to get that one out the land. Today we are more ethnocentric. For the height and go today, in many positions, it is limited by where you are from and where you to pray. That was not promised on June 12. And that's why those of us who are involved in that stuff today, it is tearing eyes that we have those reflections about where we are today and where we are supposed to be. When remember that Abacha who locked Abela up, till to date, we are still getting a lot of it from heaven. The money that will be used to create promises Abela promised gave to us were ended up in private accounts in different countries abroad. That was the chair of P12. And today we are saying that there is not enough of the deed that can bring all those banks but to get back to the battles of P12.
So before we went on the break, you were talking about the promise of June 12. I know that I think most Nigerians will say that we are not living in a democracy at this point. So my question to you, in what ways do you believe that Abiola's presidency could have impacted Nigerians' lives at this point?
First point was for us to come in nation resolving the nation's question, and seeing ourselves as one. That does not matter where you are from, does not matter where you face to pray. If you are resolved that, all other things would have followed. But as to date, we are still rocked by the sense of identity. Oh, it's Yoruba man, oh, it's woman, Asa flag. Even on the eve of June 12th, you heard all the noise that media was making about, oh, yes, people in Nigeria, like deploying our men 100,000 Nigeria, killings here and there, genocide in Southern Capital Valley place. That is not the promise of future. And we believe that it's not just enough to hold on to the symbolic first, but we must lead the spirit of future. That's the way we can compensate. Given this happened, Abiola will not bring him back to President of Nigeria. But when we live by the ideas, when we stop faith in our ballot system, when we begin to solve poverty problem, when our money does not go into corruption, but into providing good things to our people, that is what can be said. We have democracy in the land, and then we are following the deeds and the details of the wealth.
All right.
Thank you very much. That permits us to still go back to the video. Right now, we want to do the goodwill message. Okay, the video. We want to go into the goodwill message. We have 5 major speakers, and each speaker has 3 minutes each. And so I'd like to invite Comrade Fusika, SAN, for the goodwill message.
Thank you once again for doing this doing this 5th year. I organized which good for listening to our project again this success. So we thank you very, very, very much for my spicy situation in the country. I say thank you to all of us that are here today in our Ghanaian times. On this study, president of the Nigerian government, and all our all our Congress here. It should be told. Thank you so much. I would just like to, when I was coming yesterday, I was thinking about the situation of the country, and my mind went to one, what would the impact be, given what we're experiencing in this country today, especially in the areas of insecurity. I wouldn't want to go into some other area because I know Comrade Fana will speak to us on the number of issues. And I remember that many years ago, I can't, we were discussing myself and where it was a gathering. And this was at the onset of Buhari, when we used to hear on the stage some far off places, what happened to one person. persons. And in that discussion, and I remember how many years ago this was, Yinka said, if you think that I still remember very well today, which seems to be prospective. And, I think that it was a reaction to someone, you know, what we call, who mentioned his name, the American said, something like that. You know, and you can't believe the declaration that's against war. That the war is already ongoing. And that, that time, the politicians, the opponents of that time, those they were campaigning to succeed of you understand. And Yinka was telling me that this thing has been weaponized, Okwara and all that, and I should watch out as we move closer to the election in against. But what we are facing in the country is something that all of us need to come together to fight beyond politics. Now these people campaigning, you only see the presidency and all that. They are not bothered about what is going on in the face of the citizens and all that. And you can see that that is what we are witnessing today. But beyond that, you also see that that same, how would I put it, carefree carelessness, as we are hearing, it used to be one person killed, two person killed, now we are in hundreds, And it predicted at that time that this thing will move gradually towards the south. We think it's their problem, but eventually to come down to this side. And we can witness it today where it's no longer ones or twos or whatever. You just hear 10 kill, 20 kill, 40 kill, 50 kill, hundreds. And in the midst of all this, dealers are distributing rice all over the place as if it was not a matter to them. So all of us must recognize the situation we are in this country today and must be prepared. We must not keep quiet. We must not say, oh, it's their problem. It's rising gradually. Because when we are in Lagos here, we think that everything is, it's like we are in another country. But from far Borno there, it's gotten to Kwara now, on those states, the 50 states, and that is how it will come gradually until the whole country becomes involved. And when you get that, the situation of infighting and all that, people beginning to organize on. So we are facing a very dangerous situation. We as citizens of this country must be conscious of this and see what we can do to ensure that these issues are addressed. Once again, I commend my friend Comrade Joe and members of Women and Rights, those who have been supporting him to keep this program going. I thank him once again.
Thank you very much for such lucid presentation of issues. We are greatly desired that this type of violence will come to an end in our lives. People die every day. Individuals killing just happened the eve of the president's birthday. And I listened to the interview the president granted yesterday, and he was talking about the challenges Nigeria was facing. He mentioned electricity. I was thinking he was going to mention the game. But unfortunately, he didn't say anything about it. It has almost become so normalized that it's no longer a big deal. People die here, it doesn't move on with their lives. we are trusting, we are praying that the Nigeria that we used to, where whether you go from north to south or south to east, nobody, there's no ethnic divide. Just see ourselves as brothers, and we begin to see that. All right, so we want to take the next good message. I want to call a leader in the civil society movement who has become a tongue to every successive government, a big tongue in their face. So it gives me great joy to welcome Comrade Yinka Odumakin.
Show them
3 minutes.
below. Thank you very much for the opportunity to give a Google message. Before that, let me observe the protocols as long to keep thanking members of the high table for the inspiration they keep giving us, even though times get harder and harder all the time. You have table here that's loaded with some of the most powerful men in the country. I don't ever uh, underrate the chairman of the NLC who is here with us. Comrade Yinka Odumakin. The Ibanisa, the area on the for the Yoruba land, who I always had the honor of saying that was the first person to lead the troops of the OBC. To go and face police, take this float was torn at Yaba. And it has been one honor I've had that he has also remained constantly putting the feet of those in power to fight. Because my lifelong lawyer, uh, Vice Femi Falana, who continued to inspire me, I said that one day I will have enough money to pay his legal sacrifice. And I'm still working. Because sometimes because for facts. They are very generous, just like the generous to your being, the generous to us. Olumide Sika, Baba Mighty, thank you for all the great work you do for us. We're supposed to give a good message, but it's difficult to give a good message at a place where you are celebrating the death of one of your most important comrades. What are we going to say? That we are happy that he died? Or it's not. So maybe we should change the word from goodwill to something else in the future. Well, it's a solemn moment for us. This is one of the saddest times of the year that we get to remember somebody who should be with us, or who is not. And wherever he might be, for those of us who believe that people, when they die, go to different worlds, I'm sure if he's checking us out, he will be very happy about us, that we still carry on with those duties that he delegated to us before he died. I always remind everybody that each time you attend somebody's burial remembrance, you think about your own as well. And I've been asked several times, what do I think will happen to me when I die? When I die, I'll become matter. And matter is that part of me will become air, it will escape, second, it will become water, and then the last will be solid. But the only thing I'm happy about is cosmic. That the only investigation has been done about where we go after we die is that we go to the galaxy Big Way. We return back to who we are originally. We are stars. And I hope when I die, every night you guys can go out and look up in the sky, looking for the Ishowore star. That's all I want. I don't want to be remembered for anything because it doesn't matter to me at that point. And I'll be looking down on you, hoping that we make your world a better place. Having said that, I will repeat once again, and I'll end it there. These are revolutionary times. If you take advantage of it, I was the one who predicted when Bola Tinubu came to power that he's the one who is going to make the revolution happen
Nigeria. It is up to the Nigerian people to take charge of the moment and opportunity has provided for the revolution. This man is on the highway driving you to a revolution, but you still haven't gotten the message yet. But we will make it happen because nobody, and I mean this country cannot escape the revolution at this time. And whether I'm around when it happens or not, just remember that I told you so, that Tinubu's most important duty as president of Nigeria is to drive this country into a revolutionary destination where he himself and the rest of his colleagues, friends, his agencies, his ministers will become strangers to even the system that they think they brought about, which is this system that makes them feel that everybody is foolish, everybody is in need of handouts, and anybody or everybody cannot be respected except those who belong in their class. Those are the last signs of a country that is awaiting revolution. Any country where you see people celebrating meritocracy instead of expertise is a country awaiting revolution. We have deceived ourselves enough, ladies and gentlemen. We have already reached the place. It's now up to us to step forward and make it happen. Nigeria, and I'm saying it, and I'll end there, cannot escape a revolution at this time. Revolution now.
Thank you very much. We never everything. All right, so we move straight to we have some of our comrades who are seated. We recognize your presence. We appreciate your comment. And I just like to mention some things. So I'll just,
particular, I would like to acknowledge the presence of this distinguished Comrade journalist, Comrade Yinka Odumakin. Also like to acknowledge the presence of Scotland-based Comrade Comrade Asusi, and Comrade Adewumi Oloni, forever. Also, that means the Comrade Daffy Okei-Odumakin. In Africa, Comrade Akintunde Adedeji, forever. The members of the team of members of the entourage of Eva Gani Adams, and other distinguished comrades present, and also our members of the press. Mr. Attendant Williams, Bollywood star, you're welcome, sir.
thank you very much for the sake of time. I'd like to welcome our leader. Is a mentor. I learned a lot from his Facebook page. He has the comic relief, different aspects of the game. So it gives me great joy to welcome to the microphone Mr. Richard Akinlase.
Watching this, the brief clip of Yinka, and that is 5 years ago. Now it's sorry. That was 5 years ago or more. Now those of thinking, if Yinka were to be alive now, 5 years back, what would be his thinking about the current state of situation of things? And particularly in respect of what I describe as the incestuous relationship between the executive and judiciary. Because it may not be obvious for many people, but it's a very dangerous relationship. And just this morning, I was just making reference to what happened in 1993, in respect of June 12, how Professor Owusu defied manipulation by APN, led by Senator Sullivan and Abibola Davis and Clement Akpango, with their judiciary collaborators, Justices Basi Kweme and Ahiru Saleh. And despite all the pressures on him, he refused to open. Now, can we say the same thing in the current dispensation? And that's why I'm really worried. That's why I call the relationship between the executive and the judiciary as incestuous. It shouldn't be. And I find it embarrassing that some of us will reminisce about even the independence of the judiciary under the military. Despite various degrees, despite the mentality of the military, that we can now talk nostalgically about how the judiciary at that time seemed to be even more independent than how the politicians have hijacked the judiciary. Don't get me wrong, we have a number of very upright judges in our various courts, but it takes more than the willpower after receiving mansion, exotic mansions for the landlord of Abuja for you to rule against him. It takes more than the willpower. So we need to be careful. We need to be alert. The next few months will be very decisive for this country, and we need to resist any attempts at what I call judicial dictatorship. It's something that is happening, and we need to be alert. So if Yinka was to be alive today, I can imagine what Yinka will be thinking, what will be saying, whether on my rise or in childhood. Lastly, something happened. Yinka was running some series in the Vanguard, and he ran some series against the current president. It was getting to a point in which a mutual friend now called and said, please talk to Yinka to let him mellow down a bit. So I called Yinka and said, Yinka, try and mellow down a bit. And he now said, and that okay, I will suspend what I'm writing, but on the condition that his opposing, his attackers don't come after me. If they come, I will continue. I said, don't worry, I will talk to them. So that is how, despite the fact that Yinka was, he was so competent to continue that particular path, but instead, to represent him, I will represent it, I will fight. So, and that is one thing about Yinka, and that's one thing I need to emphasize. If there's nobody, no matter how highly placed you are, if there's no person that can come call you to order or advise you, then you are on the way to perdition. As mighty as Gani was, at least there are some of us who will tell Chief, I said, Chief, no. I remember one time, Chief was doing something and I was so angry. And I said, no, Chief,
So one of them said, was supporting chief. And yes, and yes, that's what I said. Look, stop confusing this man. In the presence of chief, I said, stop confusing this man. Chief, if you do that thing, I will come against you, I will issue a statement and cancel you. So we just nothing he said. I said, okay, the chief, it was said in my room, the chief, and I to later. So, okay, later. So, but he listened. So, why am I saying this? Yinka, despite the fact that he was determined to continue with his advocacy, but because somebody called him to order, not that he was wrong, but he felt that I needed to listen to somebody. So, if no matter how highly placed you are, if there's nobody, even if be your junior, that will call you to, if nobody can call you to order, then you are on your way to addition. So, on that note, I'll want to pray that we need to go to rest in peace. Thank you.
All right, so okay. All right, so we're taking the key out of the 5 moving messages. So I'm just going to call the fourth person for the sake of time. I will call him our Lord Muska. Can we just have our hands for great Nigerian people. I'm so honored and privileged to be here today. Contrary to what my brothers will say, we are not silent because Yinka did not give any reason for us to believe that he lost any battle. He fought to the end. From which he never still made the boys act. It's a thing of joy to die standing and to die kneeling down before the oppressors. I'm so privileged, all the other people who I observe. And you see, I got scared and he called me now. Because the Yoruba said, the Musa goes, the Musa goes, when the giants and the real soldiers, the real generals are speaking, I asked me to put up from this small body give me. I can feel even the presence of Comrade Yinka when he stand before judges that are taller than himself and start giving them demanding them. One day you see something happen to this Comrade. The former chairman of the East local government, and he was listening to that. When I put the talk to Comrade, so those boys are there. You know what? He was the first to call him. Are you there yet? You was there. So those are the things you must be grateful to God for. That those are the things He can do himself. People we are acting on social media and all the rest of them so to say there is this comrade who was attacking me cow why that time before the election. And his son or himself had an accident. And he called me, I'm stranded, I don't have anything. The next I said, call me now. He said, what you do? I said, don't worry. Then the guy called me, he said, he could get me money. I said, yes, do whatever you can for him. I did it. So the aspect of being an agitator is not enough. The man is so large handed. One day he called me, you said your car is spoiled. I said, yes. He said, call my name and go and pick that car. I didn't pay them. I just picked the car. And everybody was looking at me as a big man. They don't know saying my brother that shit. So that's the thing. School fees, you come, you may not be your friend. I will do something like that, you will do it. And I know people have that testimony. So in solidarity, you and I, Yinka has left us with a body that we must continue to carry. That's why we're going possible. That is the only thing we can do to rejoice. And remember Yinka, we thank leaders like Comrade in this hall, at least for 3 consecutive years, who've been here while he was reaching out to widows of the land and Comrade. So those things very important. It's not only going to see solidarity. Hospital don't answer solidarity. School fees don't answer solidarity. So we in solidarity,
must be able to show commitment to one of the major causes he can give and die. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so we have approved this matter from the people.
I'm going to call someone, a distinguished guest as well. I'm sure you may be surprised that I have to call him to do a short message. Is Comrade Yinka Odumakin from Scotland. Let's, I want to I'm so happy to be here today. Was trying to come to my part to London, all because of honor my Yinka and my leader. That's because he's saying that because I need to prepare today. So, and I'm glad to prepare today. If you have met him before, I think Okei-Odumakin. And I think he has the voice of the oppressed people. It's supposed to go to you find maybe money and maybe to buy food or to pay school fees of your children. I know my brother will be able to help you. Because Yinka is a leader that we can trust. And we love him. And today we are not going to mourn him. And we are here to celebrate a leader and the voice of the oppressed people. And I'm glad that I was given having the opportunity to talk about it. About maybe 7 years ago, I met him in London, and I just went to him to, and play with him, and just, as a brother, as a friend. And he went to his pocket, and he gave me $450. He said, I need that. Just go and enjoy your weekend. So, and we are money of somebody that we can be so proud of. And I thank the organizers of this event. So I may the soul of our brother continue to rest in perfect peace. I thank you all. I thank you all. I thank you all.
All right, thank you very much. We cannot attend to
The sacrifices Comrade Yinka Odumakin made is the life of many people. And we do it without even letting anybody know about it. Right about now, we're going straight to another presentation by a guest of honor, special guest of honor, the person of the NLC president, Comrade Yinka Odumakin. We just have to together for our
Thank you very much. Let me start on it. On the heavy on internet. But I didn't have any but I came with the well, let me can Nigerian democracy work without structure? If you ask me, I will say no, and I know that Yinka will still say no. That it can't work without structure. So today we are running a unitary system on federal justice. And the engine is federal. We are running a democracy hostage in a structure that brings centralized poverty and localized suffering. In a structure that has been captured and is being exploited ruthlessly by a few, of which, if not changed, may lead to our collective destruction. For 25 years, we have celebrated democracy. But as Nigerian worker,
what has it delivered? In this democracy, we are the only nation in the world that regulated the price of premium photo sprays or refusing to regulate the price of governance. Only nation. We run the most expensive and centralized political structure in the continent, yet we cannot pay living wage. When parties like the Iran-USA Israeli triggered energy crisis happen, our nation feels the consequences immediately. But all the good things happening abroad do not have positive impact on the welfare of Nigerian citizens and workers. When we speak of restructuring, the political class thinks it is about sharing the oil money differently. But from the perspective of the NLC, restructuring is about survival. It is about devolving power so that the states can control their resources and develop at their own pace, rather than trekking to Abuja every month to pay for handouts. It is about localizing resources so that the gas players in the Niger Delta can power industries in the north and south, and the solid minerals in the north can be harnessed without federal bottlenecks. It is about stopping a centralized system that breeds laziness and rent seeking. A restructured Nigeria will force states to compete, to produce, and to create jobs. You cannot continue to share a national cake that no one is taking. Our nation needs a structure that releases the captive potentials inherent in each of our regions and unleashes them to national development. It allows the torrent of the hardened and the atrophied resources in the various states, which will then catalyze into a potent force for progress in our nation. It is about ensuring we conform to the mindset that speaks to security in is being local. Everyone here knows that when we create a vibrant and localized policy, with the local governments and states being in full control of our security, their various states will be secure. So, comrades, I won't go on and on to read. I have a program today invited by the Kano State government, and I ask myself, when you weigh the two individuals involved, which one is my tendency? I decided to identify with my tendency. And that is why we are here. We must all recognize our own. Anytime, anything. If we don't, nobody will recognize us. They look at us as those guys or those boys. Even our reason value irritates them. And we can't talk of, I'm surprised, I'm sure that you so very has them. Our revolution should be organized. We can't have a revolution that is not organized. I will need to analyze. We have to organize, reorganize, and organize the unorganized to enable us move on. Thank you, comrades. Thank you. Thank you. Can we have a hands together again for the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress? Thank you very much. Now we are getting to the heart of this lecture. This is the fifth Comrade Yinka Odumakin Memorial Lecture. And the topic of the lecture, as you can see from the screen, is a Nigerian democracy without restructuring. Now, we know as leaders who have been very consistent over the years. I remember last year was our guest, and I'm glad that today is also going to be speaking to the team of this year's
memorial lecture. Can Nigeria's democracy work without restructuring? Have you actually thought about it? Can we actually survive without restructuring as a nation? So give me the job. So welcome to the podium, Comrade Femi Fala SA. Our comrade, the area of the line, Comrade President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, comrades and friends on the high table. I would like to start by thanking our sister, our comrade, Okei-Odumakin, for what you have continued to do to celebrate the memory of your husband, our friend, our comrade. I pray that you live long to continue the struggle. I think it must start it all by saying what the structure is about. And the NSC president has dwelled on it. So my task is almost completed. I'm going to perhaps practicalize and to say that the structuring has been going on in Nigeria. But what are the beneficiaries of the restructuring that we have continued to witness? The governors and members of the ruling class. Now, if restructuring, what happened is that the military and the colonial regime ran Nigeria as a unitary state. When Nigeria was going to obtain a flag independence in 1960, the members of the political class had gathered in London, Lancaster House, to craft a constitution for the country. It was then agreed that being a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-cultural society, we needed to run Nigeria as a federal state. Hence, the 1963 Constitution had 45 items in the exclusive list. At that time, to be strange to many of you, local governments were completely in the hands of state governments, police in the hands of regions. The courts were likely controlled by state government. And I just give you an instance, which even many lawyers now are not aware of. Up to 1979, 1983, if you had an election petition in a state, the tribunal, the election petition tribunal, was made up of 5 judges, led by the chief judge, number 1 to 5. Today, if you want to decide the winner of an election, gubernatorial election in Lagos, you will assemble judges from Sokoto, Borno, and the rest of them, and vice versa. So on the day of the judgment, the judges are put their briefcases, their luggage, in the boot of the car, taking them to the airport. So they can leave any document, and it's not there. But in those days, if you want to set your state on fire, you are part of it. You are going to be consumed, or your family members will be consumed. When you are talking of people like that, it was decided in Ondo State. The chief judge then
the man from Owo, the chief judge, Orojo Komeko, was the chair. In the other state, number 1 to 5 decided Shibola Igbesi. I think number 3 judge, Justice Oloko, was the immediate senior brother of Justice Atinuke Bola Igbesi. But nobody thought it is why them divide the nation. That would disqualify him. Because at least it will be 4 to 1. But it was 5-0. So that was up to the Second Republic. What you now have today, what this guy did in 1999 was to return Nigeria completely to a unitary state. So today, we have 68 items in the exclusive legislative list. It was 45. Now 68. Practically everything is controlled by Abuja. But let me tell you, between 1999 and now, through what I call restructuring by litigation, we go to court to challenge the control of the powers of the country by Abuja. And I can just briefly read out to you. Today, local governments, under Obasanjo wanted in 1999 to have INEC control local government elections. We say under this constitution. No. It's the business of state government. Today, state governments conduct local government elections. Or you'll be a foolish man in the opposition if you contested election. Do you know what I mean? Because the ruling party was winning all the seats. All. So it had got a state where members of the opposition no longer contest because they will score 0. I'm telling you the powers that have been taken from Abuja or cornered by state governors. Do you understand me? The local government election commissions, electoral commissions, all over the country conduct the worst elections in Africa, where the ruling party must win all the seats. 2, so that we know where we are. 2, creation of local government. Obasanjo said, no, you can't create local government. So Lagos, under the man in Abuja around, Lagos created local government. When the National Assembly said, yes, you can create local government, but those local governments are created and encouraged. Okay, no problem. Because the National Assembly has not registered them. What did Lagos do? It's okay, we have the FCD. About 6 states decided to do so. Obasanjo threatened them, if you don't revert to the status quo, I will seize your money. Only Lagos insisted, and Obasanjo seized the fund of Lagos. Lagos went to court, as you are all aware. Lagos won the case. On that, this fact that has become part of the Federal Tax Act, again, Rivers State under this guy. Okay. Following the example of Lagos, when the court VAT generated in our state must belong to us, and the case was won. The appeal is in the Supreme Court. But since the man who won that case on the other side now, he's no longer bothered about that case. Now, VAT is not in the exclusive list. So Abuja has no powers to collect and distribute VAT. So go on, so that you know where we are. Lagos also fought, or many states fought against the control of land by the federal government. So you have the case of the land use decree. Even though President Obasanjo put it in the constitution, President Obasanjo put it in the constitution so that it cannot be amended without going to the National Assembly. But the Supreme Court has said The governors of each of the state, the governor of every state, is in charge of the land in that state. Even if the federal government needs land in Lagos today, the president will have to go through the governor of Lagos State. On states and federal courts, the states have continued to fight that some of these items in the constitution shall be managed by us. President Buhari has said he was opposed to restructuring, has carried out the most historic restructuring since 1999. In one fell swoop, Buhari signed the bill by the National Assembly that electricity, prisons, and railways shall be removed from the exclusive list and taken to concurrent list. But I challenge you. As any state governments, as any state government in Nigeria guaranteed electricity, as any state government, two, as any state created its own prisons, no. As any state government established its own railways, no. So please don't be deceived. When they are talking of restructuring there, they only talk of restructuring when it suits their purpose. They don't believe it. Going on, and this is important. You know they are talking about state police now. Are you aware? And the president has said we're going to state police. The National Assembly has said we're going to create state police. And the new Inspector General of Police has asked for 5 years to allow the establishment of state police. No, please. In 1979, this is important. We had what they call a great debate. How do we have a new constitution in 1979? It was agreed among hands that never again are we going to have local police. In other words, in those days, part of the abuse, if you belong to the opposition, members of NEPU in the north, the AG when Akintola was in charge in the west, and so on and so forth. While you are sleeping, all members of your family are sleeping. A dead body will be done in your compound. And the following morning, you are arrested for murder. And the man will be taken away. So, police, men and women, beat up members of the opposition, detain them illegally. So, in 1979, never again. What do? We shall have a federal police, not a federal government police. Notice, how will that police be managed? There shall be a Nigerian Police Council. Who are the members of the Police Council? The President only as the chairman, the Inspector General of Police, the Chairman Police Service Commission, and the 36 state governors. So in the meeting of that body at any time, the governors can overrule the president. Do you understand me? But that is the only federal executive bodies that does not meet. Do you understand me? In spite of the increasing state of insecurity in the country, that body does not meet. What are the duties of that body? To administer, organize, and supervise the Nigerian police force. Go to the Constitution. Only the president administers, organizes, and supervises the Nigerian police force. So, in other words, the governors have abdicated their duty and handed over police powers in Nigeria to the president. Security Council. It should be summoning the meeting of the Nigerian Police Council because the governors are supposed to be closer to the people. So if you get to that meeting, instead of the Police Council, Police Service Commission, and the Inspector General of Police fighting over who will conduct interviews for 10 10,000 police recruits. That is the future of the Nigerian police council. A governor who was there, Mr. President, this body, I will need 50,000 policemen and women in Lagos. All you will be asked, okay, from this federation account, you shall pay their salaries, but you are going to pay their allowance. Today, even without state police, if you must know, some governors are using the federal police to kill opponents. You are not aware. I come from a state where a government for years killed many people, including 3 prominent ones. And you all know. Dr. Yodarama was killed by the killer's squad of Comrade Yinka. Julia Wonderland was killed by that squad. And of course, Engineer Pashiba was killed by that squad. And in many other states, that's what's good. So when you are talking of state police, be very careful. Do you understand? Okay, somebody was formerly a governor of Rivers. Can you give him state police? You know what I'm talking about? Another one in Kaduna. Declare the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress wanted for toilets in Kaduna State. We had to rush to the National Industrial Court, which ruled that governors have no right to interfere in labor matters under this constitution. Somebody was a governor in Kogi. Are you giving state police? You know what I mean? Honestly, the governor said, this is 1 year. We shall deal with an around guarantee of security. You want to give state police to such a man? The point I'm making there, of course, we are still state police in the country. Do you understand? We have state police forces today. And that one is one of them. You understand? They already have state police. What is likely, which is stupid, is that you are arming people with 10 guns and you ask them to go and confront people with AK-47. Because only governor, the late governor, they are calling one day. Tell me, I listen to you, I'm going to say, please, can we go to war? And Amotaku must be fully armed. Yes? I said, Mr. Governor, you are serious. If an individual can ask for state, for weapons to protect his family, why can you not go to Abuja and say, I need 5,000 licenses to buy weapons for Amotaku to defend the entire people of Ondo State? Unfortunately, the governor was here to actualize that matter. I mean, when he passed on. Or he said, when we are going to court. Even though he was a member of the ruling party, for another 25 people, so we are going to challenge him. Do a letter, write a letter to Abuja requesting for licenses. Unfortunately, he hasn't done that when he passed on. The point I'm making there for is any state government today that is genuine and wants to acquire weapons for state police that have been created can apply to Abuja. If Abuja refuses, you can go to court. And very easy. Like the Yorubas will say, we are equal under the law. So I cannot ask for state, no, they won't give me weapon. But if I give, I'm not sure they can give anybody on the table. Because you can believe that you can turn it against them. But you can't. They will say, oh, you are responsible. Okay, let's give him a license to buy weapons and defend his family. And my position is discriminatory. These are not going to allow the governors to defend all of us. Now, the courts, our courts, have been taking over completely. You know, the cost of the judgment of the late Justice Akisoya, which declared the interim government illegal. You remember?
November 10, 1993, Abuja people said, no. We have to erode the powers of state high court. Today, if you sack your staff, you sack your driver, your cook, you have to go to the National Industrial Court, not the state high court. That is a social federalism. But the one I will trust you, I will go for. I know my brother. I don't better give us a restructuring is the control of your resources. Yes. But the resources are being controlled in Nigeria by individuals, not by state governments. You understand? If you want to know. Section 44 of Section 3 of the Constitution provides that all the mineral resources of Nigeria shall be taken over and shall vest in the future government on behalf of all of us. Do you understand? What do they do now? You take all resources from the Niger Delta and you give licenses, oil blocks. You don't know they give oil blocks to themselves. You don't know? And the owners of oil blocks are the richest people in Nigeria. You understand well, man? There's a lady in Lagos. She says she's the richest lady in Africa. Why? She has an oil block. Not that she's more hardworking than your mother. No. Oil block. There is a general, a pensioner. He's the richest pensioner in Africa. He has an oil block. In fact, in some cases, they don't invest in the oil block. They just take it offshore and sell the license to the Chinese or Europeans. And then you come on a multi-billionaire. This man had some part of this. The lease, the Chinese company. So you couldn't imagine his level of prosperity. He said publicly, and you can only say that in Nigeria. I've kept a home for my family. I don't know what to do with. Say, measure the amount. $500. So that is what I'm talking about. Those who are going wrong are not giving license to mine solid minerals. You are not aware. Solid minerals, some of them are more expensive than oil. To make back lithium, we have lithium, we have gold. Yearly, not less than $9 billion worth of gold is smuggled out of Nigeria by these members of the ruling class. To know they are the criminals. A minister serving under the Buhari regime went to the National Assembly and said, you know what? You know what he said? He said, those who are destroying Nigeria are smuggling gold with benefits. You understand? They don't check their planes. They will take helicopters to Zamfara and all those places. Still smuggle the gold. Are you with me? And then take it out of the country. The government knows them. No plane can fly out of Nigeria without the knowledge of the government. So why you say that we should states should control state government do not want to control our resources. They want to privatize them. When state government could not pay salary, as the federal government, why are you giving all blocks to the federal? Give them to states and local governments. They say I was talking about food. And today, more and more people are becoming very dangerous spirits at the expense of all of us. Many of our communities now are being degraded
by those who are mining mineral resources. And you know something, terrorism, kidnapping in some parts of the country. These criminal offenses are fueled by smugglers of gold and other minerals. Because young people who have been abandoned, who have not gone to school, and same people, they are so opulent and they don't like it. They are showing their wealth. So young people have been instigated, they have been incited. Just like you arrested the current president in the incite revolution. Members of the Republicans have incited ordinary people to take up arms. That is a clear dimension of terrorism. The point I'm making therefore is that resources have been taken from Abuja, enormous powers have been taken from Abuja between 1999 and now through the courts. But what has happened? Those resources are the corner. I just give you an example. In 2024, the president has the attorney general who has sued the state government. Why? Because they are cornering the money left for local government. The attorney general went to court. One of the fastest cases ever decided by the Supreme Court. The case was filed in May, in July. Judgment was given. The state government must no longer control the funds of local government. The Supreme Court rewrote the Constitution. Because the question says the money shall be paid to the joint state local government. Supreme Court said no. The money shall be paid directly to the local government. Up to today. That judgment has not been complained with. But the governors went back to the president. Mr. President, you can't take this money. God want to support you for your son. And for that reason, the president said you are in charge of local government. No, some of these things they are in the public domain. The last point of my presentation, because Richard, I think pointed out that we're in the dangerous state. Courts, Nigerian courts, and senior lawyers have colluded once again to abort the democratic process. And I'll give you an example. In 1993, Section 19 of Decree 25 of 1987 provides no court in Nigeria shall issue interim, interlocutory, final judgments on election of government. Two judges defied that position. Justice Imperial Passy Imperial said, please suspend, no, the election shall not hold. The INEC went to the military. This is Section 19 of the law. Say nobody can stop the election. The election shall hold. So the election was done. As the result were being announced, Justice Sally said, some further announcement is conjectural. He didn't look at the decree that they had heard. Several courts, including the Supreme Court, has said, in the energy of superiority of laws in Nigeria, the courts are confessed. Now, Section 83, subsection 5 of their new Electoral Act 2026 has banned courts from interfering in the management of political parties. Do you understand? Because the Supreme Court held earlier, political parties should be managed by their members, majoritarian rule, not by the courts. Do you understand me? When members of the political class refuse, it has not been put in the law that no court shall interfere. No interim or interlocutory injunction, whatever, can be granted. But yesterday,
Yesterday, the court of appeal held that the situation in APC led by the man. You understand me? Those who said, who threatened to kill Babangida, now the court is on the back. Understand? What goes wrong? But we shall operate above them. We are going to decide principle here. The court was wrong, very wrong, because the law has said, thou shalt not interfere. But as if that is not enough. The Independent National Electoral Commission, headed by a senior advocate of Nigeria, issued a statement yesterday that based on the intervention of the court, ABC, we shall no longer recognize you. And you know when a political party is not recognized, its members are not contest election. I said that INEC is wrong because the order granted by the court is grant an injunction. Status quo ante bellum. You know, they do such terms to deceive us. What that means is before the dispute, before the state of the war. So who was in charge before that family went to court? So they demand. Do you understand me? But that judgment, that ruling has now been misinterpreted to favor the ruling party. You know when Nigerians say, oh, the Tinubu government, APC is trying to turn Nigeria into one party. No! Our courts and senior lawyers are to blame. And I go to another political party that you are knowing about. A party was destroying, a man was destroying a political party, campaigning for the candidate of another party, asking members of his own party to step down for the candidates of the ruling party. His party now said, these activities are anti-party. The federal law said, thou shalt not suspend or expel. He shall remain a member of that party and continue to destroy the party. The same man has said, our party has no candidate, presidential candidate. Do you understand? Yes. We are making this analysis not because APC, PDP, APC are better, they are less of the same time. But you know, the Nigerian people must be allowed to choose among your oppressors who will govern them. What Nigeria is doing is a replica of what is going on in African countries. An election has just taken place in the presidential. Many of the potential presidential candidates are either in jail house or in the Senate. You know what I mean? Yeah. Opposition members, candidates have been killed. All those who are lucky to be alive are in jail house. In a place like Tanzania, the most popular candidate was charged with trickery. So when the election was going on, he was battling for his freedom. Do you understand? What our man was just getting, children of LC. I'm sure you know it's English many times. I'm sure you are aware. So instead of campaigning, she will now be making efforts not to be killed. Even the other leader of the PDP has also been charged with contempt of court. In fact, the court made an order for his arrest. Then you are like, anyway, but they have temporarily suspended that, but it's going to be arraigned for contempt. So at the end of the day,
through the manipulation of Nigerian courts and senior lawyers. You may have only one candidate contesting the presidential election this year. My wife has assured me, family, you know what is going on. Nigeria will have to save the money for the presidential election this year. Because the way our courts are going, there will be no other candidate to challenge the candidate of the ruling party. Will you allow it? Will you allow it? No. Now, therefore, you must identify. I think anyone. Labour Party. You know, Comrade here. Labour Party. The fellow that destabilized Labour Party. The police carried out an investigation of them. He was indicted for fraud and forgery, but he has been amnesticized. Thou shalt not charge him. I'm talking of killers. It's a sin of the mind. So please, when we live here, we must be organized. We challenge the forces that are making a mockery of the democracy that we fought for. Many people were killed in the process. Even our parents, with a good medical system in place, I not have lost. Yesterday, 2 days ago, a lawyer died in an elevator. All the snow like those things don't happen in some parts of the world. Do you understand me? The president that had promised to give us uninterrupted electricity has just installed solar in the middle. No, it's not a lasting matter. All Nigerians are entitled to solar panels in their houses because that was fixed with the funds, public funds. Do you understand me? We must begin to say that under this their man's constitution, there shall be equality before the law. I don't know. Somebody was in detention, showing your friends. They arrested the big man recently. And after about 2 weeks detention, lawyers in various WhatsApp groups started calling for his release. And I challenged them. Are you aware? Thousands of the employees are in detention. Have you ever had a child or released? Before that time, this big man lost his money. He was in detention without a court order. He was released to bury his mother. Do you know what I'm talking about? I now say, before him, I'm not here, who is standing trial for narcotics, lost his mother in DSP. His lawyer filed an application in court and he was released to go and conclude the burial rites of his mother for 2 weeks. I have now suggested through this media all suspects in police custody, all units and companies in prisons must be released to bury their dead ones, if and whenever they lose them. Because I will overwhelm the law. And please, if you know any prison inmate who may lose his or her mother, let me know. We have an opportunity to go to court and say, obey the court, and will be given every right to. You understand me? And I think that was the point Chiwore was trying to make that these guys, when they are doing, they will provoke the Nigerian people to the revolution. But we have also been warned. And you can't just have a revolution without proper organization. It will become anarchy. Therefore, the leaders here must help us to begin to organize our people for the inevitable revolution. It's not an inevitable revolution, inevitable anarchy. But in the interest of the masses of our people who have not contributed to the criminality that is going on, we must get organized. And Yinka will have wanted us to get organized at this point in time to confront the enemies of our people. Finally, you know, some internet warriors these days, very fraudulent, internet warrior, fraudulent, trying to defend some of our comrades, including Yinka Odumakin. These fellows bring down some of the photographs taken at your daughter in January 2020. I guess this is what I'm talking about. But let me now intervene. Nobody here was born a Protestant. Are you with me? None of us was born a Protestant. Yinka wasn't born a Protestant. But for those who are doing the service, in 2010, May 2010, when the cabal wanted to stage a coup to delay democratic process, Yinka Odumakin, Pastor Odumakin, and some of us, under the aegis of the same Nigerian state protest. You are not aware? In Lagos, series of protests in Lagos and Abuja, and that was what culminated in declaration of the doctrine of necessity by the National Assembly. And President Jonathan shall, no, Vice President Jonathan shall become the acting president of Nigeria. I'm not even praying for. So even in January 2020, the same people protested in solidarity with the number of women that are declared a strike and general mass protest. How does that come? And for those who are very attracted to those photographs, I challenge them. Before and after that, the most successful protest in Nigeria, exile protest, no protest in this country has attracted the use of Nigeria as we witnessed during the exile protest in October 2020. They don't show those photographs, but an attempt to blackmail you now show 2020. And in any case, instead of spreading misinformation, why are you not prepared to call it strike? Do you understand me? It's just like saying, oh, NSC has not proclaimed a strike. NSC has not called a strike. We have now seen situations where, without the intervention of NSC, Nigerians call protests. In 2024, 10 days of rage, the ruling class was afraid. You understand me? The people they arrested, they said they wanted to stage a coup, and they were charged with treason and terrorism, including children. You can sound desperate, these guys can charging children with terrorism and treason. But Nigerians were angered when they saw the photographs of those innocent children, and that forced Jordan. This one. To now say, please release those children. And of course, no lawyers and their people. They released those children and left our companies. And I went to God, my Lord, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Since you have released some of the suspects, you must also release all. And they keep shameful released all of them. The point I'm making therefore is we have fought for the right of Nigerians to protest.
and nobody will be allowed to criminalize. Most of the people claim they were the two-party protests, even though some of us don't know about those protests. Maybe state protests, but you know, people now try to claim our history. You talk of Nadeko. Nadeko was formed on May 31, 1994. We have been fighting the military January 1984. Land was 9%. Still the man, you said no. You didn't set up now. You can't ban it. That's why Buhari's no Pazanis military. So we have been fighting. So a group of their friends came together in 1994 May, and now we want to claim all our strength. Comrades and friends, as we live here, let's go with our honor Yinka Odumakin is to decide here that we shall organize ourselves and we shall stop agonizing. Do you understand? We must stop agonizing and we must get organized in the interest of our people. Because a people united can never be defeated. Say that again. A people united can never be defeated. Thank you very much for another challenge you, double challenge you. It's a record in Africa. Someday our own heaven. Thank you very much. Powerful presentation, lucid presentation. We'll leave here pregnant with ideas and trusting that all right. Okay, so just for in the next 20 minutes we have here, and we have just a few more things to do. Some of our leaders want to react to the conversations. We have 3 books here, 2 written by the wife of the late Comrade Dr. Okei-Odumakin and his Yinka Odumakin, and we have one written by Comrade Yinka Odumakin himself. What the water? Then we have Yinka Odumakin, the biography written by Dr. Odumakin. Then we have Comrade written by Dr. Odumakin, also by Yinka Odumakin. Each of these books costs 10,000. The account of the foundation who can be rejected, or I can just bring out the account. If any of us is interested in any of the book, you can just speak it quickly, or we can project it on the screen so that you can see the statement account of the Yinka Odumakin Foundation where the payment can be made. Now we have about 4 people who want to. Some will make comments, some will react to the guest speaker speech. And the first person I'd like to say is our father, the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò the Yorùbá land, Ìbà Gani Adams.
Well, I agree with our dear Edmond. Femi Falana on his beautiful lecture. But at the same time, only one country of the nation that was different, which is the state police. Because as the area of Kakanfò of Yorùbá, the traditional defense minister in Yorùbá, that's my bit, issue of insecurity, or to complement the effort of the security agents that can have a very good security in Nigeria. If we are running away from the governor, that they will manipulate state police, we should be preparing to run away from the presidency of manipulating the federal police. We have the countless time. I think that I'm always saying that we should put a mechanism in place. That would be the best thing. That would be the best thing. Because the issue of security is local. It's local. If you don't recruit people from the community and local government to secure themselves, there is no way somebody from Borno State will secure people in Nigeria, even in Lagos. The people of the community, the people recruited from the communities, they know the criminal in the environment. And it will be very good for intelligence reports when they notice a strange face coming to their community or their local governments. If we are running for state police, that's why we are postponing and even we know what has happened in this country. The issue of security threat is coming from Borno, northeast to northwest, middle belt, from middle belt, Kogi Kwara, and from Kogi Kwara to my own state of those states. Now they are very close to us in Lagos, in Ibadan. And I have written more than 4 letters to the Southwest government. Let us collaborate. Give a chance. I have 14 crew in my disposal that can assist you to reduce this insecurity. But they cannot provide. I've gathered a lot of interviews to challenge federal government and the Southwest government that there is need for collaboration. You can't do it alone. And day by day, people pass blame to Ariel Okatabu. That you are Ariel Okatabu of Yoruba land. And there is a serious security threat coming to Yoruba land. People forgot that I'm not part of the system. Ariel Okatabu did not collect salary from the government. And Ariel Okatabu was not even given the contract for the past 12, 13 years. But notwithstanding, I'm ready to help because of my position. We have state police and local police. There is no way you can get it right on the basis of security in this country. We are deceiving ourselves. The federal government is misusing the federal police. When the election is coming, they have way and manner to block the opposition that is popular in their state or local government. And rig the election. We know what they have done to many state governments who are chief security officer of their state, and they are not control. They are not in control of the security. Even in our constitution, it reflected that a governor is the chief security officer of the state, and they don't have security. The Amotekun issues, Amotekun could have been more active than what they are doing now. But the federal government did not allow them to get to be in possession of the superior weapon. The only weapon Amotekun are using is the pump action, Chakabula. And they are facing a terrorist who have a background of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, who are product of international terrorist organization. So I'm glad that I was one of states that said they are not against the police because I'm not living there. You are a civil advocate of Nigeria. You need an input to put the mechanism in place. I need you. Oduwayo, the thing in oríṣiríṣi. And I'm facing serious embarrassment as the Arena every day. Calls. A lot of abuses from the social media. But I'm ready to assist for the government to not want me to be. I'm not saying that I want to infringe to their security application, but I want to complement their effort. Apart from that, 100% I am in line with everything you have said about this government. I know you are opinion holder. Tẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn sí táwa náà bá sọ fún wa. A lot of people máa gbé opinion ẹ̀ lọ nípa ìwọ̀n tó ní nígbà wà lẹ́jẹ̀. So state police is very very important.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so we have 4 more people now. Yes, I will react to this, make their contributions. We have veterans in the struggle also, who are members of the item. So I'd like to also invite to the item of Comrade Yinka for you. You can say, all right.
You want me to stand close to Agbaja who goes in and out of detention. Okay, thank you very much. I just want to provide, because if FF speaks, you cannot really advance on the thoughts as such. And you can just take my brief comments as a kind of footnotes to what he has said. And I think the summary of it is that the nation is at a crossroad. And I do recall that in our secondary school days, we used to have a poem like that, at the crossroads, but it was a love poem actually. And the writer was saying that he didn't know which way to go and was looking into the eyes of his lover for him to have a way. And I think Nigeria will be our future now. And we're trying to look into the eyes of Nigeria to see where should we go. And what we're saying really is that, yes, there's a need for a change in society. Some people call it restructuring. But what we really need is a kind of people's restructuring. And that's not what we're getting, or that we can never get from the current ruling classes. The question of state police has come up in that conversation. And I think we need to really try this out, really, that the whole idea is for people to manage their own affairs. And as under this dispensation, if you create the state police, we are just creating another arm of state terror, and we should not run away from this. I know we are concerned about the problem of insecurity, terrorism here and there. But we should also not forget that there's a larger context to this insecurity, which has to do with the collapse of the society and the collapse of the state. The fact that banditry has become an industry, in itself. And so even if we create state police, at the end of the day, 95% of that police will be defending those who are really in the different states. That's the experience that we are seeing. And let's go back into history, the history of the First Republic. One of the things that led to the collapse of the First Republic, on the basis of the crisis that we had in the Western region, was how the local police that was under the regional governments were used against the opposition. I just mentioned here that Agbaja Yinka and going to jail. He's going to jail started from the state governor. And if I see from my constituency, the media, majority of journalists who are being attacked on the orders of state governors. Umahi, the current minister of Works, when he was governor, declared 2 journalists from the Guardian and Vanguard personal non grata in his death. If he had state police, he will use state police, to deal with those people. So the conversation was disputed within the context of who controls that state police. Would there be a democratic structure? Would there be a popular structure wherein, in terms of management, in terms of what you can call the equivalent of maybe the police commission, will be constituted, maybe by representatives of the bar association, by women and things like that. If we don't have that, state police will just be another instrument in the hands of politicians. And those who will be controlling the police will be leaders of road transport workers and the union, who we know are playing prominent roles in our policies today. Now, because I have to read, my last comment is this. What I've tried to do in recent times is also to go back a little bit in history, particularly for the younger generation, to say that if you look at our generation, we are suddenly feeling guilty about the ruling classes that we fought, particularly when we were in university. I'm talking about the period of the 1980s. My generation, we got to Ife in 1980, we left 85. So we witnessed the Second Republic, its termination, and then the beginning of military rule again. And I don't know how many of you have read some of my articles, because it is not as if we never had equal standards, even within the context of global politics. So recently, I recalled the experience of the Second Republic, where in fact the competition you had among governors there, particularly in these parts and in places like Kano and Kaduna, was who was the most frugal among the governors that we had there. And I refer to the memoir of Adekunle Ajasi after he had left office, where he wrote, and it's never disputed, that going into the government house, he didn't change the wardrobe with which he went to government house for 4 years and 3 months. That went to the government house as a retired school principal, and that would also tell you that almost every other person that was elected into office in the Second Republic, either at the level of the National Assembly, House of Representatives, Senate, had a visible means of livelihood. They were either teachers, retired university administrators, lawyers, agriculturists, and so on and so forth. And then he said that when he became governor, one of his friends, who was a retired principal, came to him and said, well, I can't be a governor. I don't have a car. Lend me one of your cars so that I can be using it. So he gave the friend a car. After he left office as governor, the only car he had broke down. He then remembered that he had given his friend a car. So he called his friend and said, can you return my car? That was a which car? It had broken down long ago. And that was how Ajasi, even as an Adepo leader, didn't have a jeep. It was meant for me if they would go and carry and whatever. This one is more instructive. And that was also the characteristics of most of the governors there. He was actually shuttling between Owo and Akure, living in his own house, which he had built as a school principal. When Shagari, as president, was to visit the states, they now told him that you have to renovate your house. That even the number of people that will come to Shagari, you don't have enough chairs for them to sit down. So he agreed and they renovated the house. After the visit, the state government wanted to reimburse Ajasi of his expenses. And he said, why should you reimburse me? This renovation is my house. And people who will enjoy the facilities. That was the governor in this part of the country. Jakonde's story had been told again and again. Bola Ige was rose to become a senior advocate of Nigeria. The wife was a justice of the Court of Appeal. Except otherwise proven, the only property that he had was the bungalow that Bola Ige built in the South East town. And of course, the one in Ibadan where it was Philip, who maybe is still owned, by the wife. And I'm saying this because all of you have read the story of one Akala, in terms of property. So I'm trying to put that, in context. The last one I will cite has to do one of the states where I think we have had bad governance in Nigeria, Ogun State. A lot of people name Okei-Odumakin and all those places. That Ogun State was who Yinka Odumakin was a journalist. Like I told you, every other person that was elected that time had a pedigree. He was a newspaper columnist. Even as governor, he was still writing columns, and his column was called Okei-Odumakin. So what I'm saying, say police everything, be careful because Okei-Odumakin. Because when this thing will happen, it will come, to haunt us. Because they have the same police and Ghanaian others to issue a statement one day that they will disagree with, and the next thing that same police will surround his house. So we have to be very careful. So whatever you want, Okei-Odumakin. And what did he do? In 4 years and 3 months, in Ogun State, Okei-Odumakin established Gateway Hotel in Ota, in Ijebu-Ode, in Abeokuta. Up to 1999, 2000, 2001, every other international conference in Nigeria was held at Gateway Hotel Ota. When he retired to his house in Ijebu-Ode, and you will never associate with them, estates and so on. In spite of that, we protested against their government, especially when they did not pay costly and so on. So if we're looking for standard, if we're saying we need a new political movement, it's going to be built on this. Which was why when we had the National Conscience Party in 2003, and some of us became candidates, it was the policy of the SCP. I was the candidate, Richard Akinola was the candidate. We signed an undertaking in that party to say that, look, if you are elected, either to the State of Assembly or whatever, wherever you were living before you were elected, that is when you will live to the end of your tenure. In other words, if you were tenants, as we were then, you will be a tenant, even as a member of the State of Assembly. And that is from where we go to report for duty, so that your people, can see you. And so we see all this kind of banalities. And that is why I said things have not been as bad. And there's a standard of the past we can move on to encourage the younger generation that our country can be different. Now, on the political parties, there's also something that SM did not mention in his lecture. He talked more about all these things parties cannot go to court. But that's electoral acts. Because you see some of us were NGOs, we see electoral reforms and so on. Don't think that we sold our soul. That electoral access political parties can only have two mechanisms of electing their leaders. One, consensus. Then the other one, direct primary. It is inherently undemocratic to decree how a political party should run its own affairs. When our constitution talks about freedom of association, what's the meaning of freedom of association? It then means that in our respective abodes, in our associations, we decide on the needs. But each time our electoral act is tinkered with to suit the whim and caprice of those who are in power, and it has become a macabre, cycle. So we're not making progress. And the takeaway for us here should be that yes, every aspect of our life needs to be structured, but it has to be a people's focus, a people's centered, restructuring, where you can actually see, the resources of the country, being used for the betterment of that country. On the basis of science and technology, you don't even need the police to fight banditry. We have seen in the ongoing war between America, Israel, and Iran, how a country, by deliberately investing in science and technology, by making it their own way of life, has succeeded in building technologies that even the Americans don't have. And that is not even the other side of the matter. That a country like Iran, as we speak today, has 10 state refineries. Saudi Arabia has 5 state refineries. Some of these refineries are even located in America. But here, people thought that Dangote was the El Dorado. But here we have, paying more. Whereas in those countries, the price of fuel, because if our oil producer has not gone up. So we need a people-focused government that commands the commanding heights of our economy and use it for the betterment of our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now that's why you need to keep Comrade Yinka. Because he has so much to say. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So I'm going to call where to take reaction. I think two reactions are going to. Audience, I'm going to call the last person from the service, and it's for great advisory. This guy has fought battles. He has fought battles. And so we are glad to have him here with us this afternoon. Just 2 minutes, I'm sure that you won't go to bed. All right, thank you very much. I want to hear you, so I dare not take the time. All the comrades have spoken. I don't think there's anything more serious that I want to say. Thank you, everybody. Comrade, I appreciate you. I specifically want to talk about yes, I have not put anybody to get the ones that have been fighting. I'm only being taken in and out of jail. And when I'm taken in, they're the ones that have been fighting. For the first time in my life, I saw where a lawyer was telling the judge in open court that, my lord, I dare you, that's Comrade Yinka Odumakin. My lord, was never in the arena, I am also directly charging for content. And then, as well, I was standing and saying, I already know. Then the ones that are fighting, coming all the way from Lagos, Comrade Richard Aguilar, he drive all the way from, as he came by road and come to see me, I appreciate everything. People has also been every time I did. Congratulations, all of them are allies. I am very proud to have associated with people. From far away in Baltimore State, the best thing that happened to me is my association with most of the people on this table. And I will remain very grateful to all of you. And also my family here, troublemaker all the time. I wake up this morning and saw a newcomer. I can't remember his name. I didn't want to struggle. Training Florence Mauga. And he said that anytime Florence messes with him, he's going to send Florence to prison. They call him very that man. But I remember also that I came to work, the first time this mission is very one of our meetings. I said, I have a feeling that this fellow will use one of these days to make content. And the one thing with Florence is that even if you put a knife on his neck, if he manages to escape and the police arrest you, he will be the first person to come and fight for you. And that is the one lesson that background for political telling us that you fight when you finish and come back and do your fight. And I don't think anybody will ever change it from doing that. Look at the hearing matter, the woman that said the minister of work was me now. And I have told you clearly that I will not get myself involved with those things again because unless I do fight. There are 4 cases I am facing in court now. Let me tell you one. Okay, so domestic violence, you know that one. Domestic violence, my husband wants to kill me. They are beating me, they are beating me. One even said, don't go and beat, I was pregnant. And you have some emotions and you go back to them. You jump in, you want to save the woman. And the next thing the two of them will go and reconcile, the next thing you see is the court case, the commission of character. The same woman that was crying in your inbox and begging that they want to kill her is now standing solidly behind the husband to sue in court. In fact, there's one. And we took the word. When the wife was in court, and we were calling the woman to come to court, calling. She didn't answer until she now returned the call on video. And she was tying Ruby on her chest and telling us that she missed the doggy that her husband used to give her, that she went to collect doggy. We're in court. So I could see this, so sometimes I repeat the emotion when those things come. I've let you say so. We need to do proper investigation before these people that some of these things will be settled. They won't say these people will come and set us up because by the time you jump in, then you get into trouble and all of that. I want to just assure people here that I'm fine with but I still have a lot of ways to fight. But I don't just want to jump into every fight. I want to fight for Nigeria, not for individuals who are looking for power. And I never opportunity just like here today. I expected that I was going to come and meet people who are grounded in the struggle. And I was sitting there, I'm happy that I'm in the right place. But I don't just want to talk about fighting for one very that one of you, all of these people that we don't know their track record in activism. I'm simply sick and tired of that. We need to fight for our comrades so that this country will get better. Thank you very much. Some persons achieve income on social media. They are not grounded in struggle. They have a lot of followers on social media, but that does not translate to substance. Most of them, they are just. All right, so we have grateful. I want to take two reactions from the audience who are listening to all the members of the service. Just two minutes if I have two people, just two people that I want to take from the audience who may want to react, who want to comment. You have 2 minutes. If I'm not getting that response, okay, I already see twice. I want the two people to stand. Please come, sir. And I want you to come. Those are the two people I'm going to take. You have just 2 minutes. Kindly make your comments as fast as possible. Thank you very much. Can we have our hands together so that we go there our show? You can come in.
Comrade Yinka Odumakin. I'm a member of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. Please, I'm putting it to Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò because Ààrẹ said he support the state police. This state policing, how are they going to come the menace? Because even the federal policing are costing them to Nigerians. Those are having friends or have money. They are having interest with the police and they oppress the promises. We have intervened in several cases and we are still intervening now. Even when we have the high court OPC then, we know how OPC under your control then. Some of them will punish us back because of what they call it cohesive. We intervene and report to our senior colleagues then before they can put into jail. But please, how are they going to control this state police? That they will not be using it to run the promises. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Comrade Yinka. I'm member of the Violent Assembly and the member of International Nigeria Comrade. I just want to make a point out of the so-called state police. I'm already saying against the police in this country. If you want to look at this very well, that's even from the EFCC aspect of it. The EFCC aspect of it, it looks for who's against the government. I don't expect someone like that to remain in this country walking around with all the corruption that we know about it. We are not moving around in this country. Nobody cares because they are belong to the winning party. So if the police will come, according to what it stands there, who's going to cover it? How is it going to be covered? And who's going to be in charge of it? Not like somebody will put somebody there. That's the thing that will be right for doesn't right for me. So at this junction, I'm against state police. I don't work in this country because Nigeria wants to be structure. Then Nigerian people, it is quite amusing when you say you are against state police. The federal police, the police that took that from Bogola to Abuja against the police. Here in Lagos, we have neighborhood watch. Has anybody accused the neighborhood watch of intimidating them? The man who had an accident in the car wanted to the hospital. Then he would go to the hospital in the car. And they told him about the car of business. You see, what we started in Nigeria constitutional government was the constitution has been right to have step by step. We make it. Let's look, let's try. It's a reality that I don't want to when the former governor was alive, to have protected. Today, my community last week had to produce 2 Sierra boxes to act as their security for the contribution of security. Because this different where you are now. If you have probes, you can monitor what is going on in your business. That's reality. Thank you very much.
I think this issue are all instead of debate. If we start looking for the shortcomings of federal police here, we can't do millions of business.
Oh, yes.
You guys don't know what's happening, you don't know the information I have in my folder of security threats that is coming to South. If we are not prepared, if we don't have plan B, the kind of mindset people are having as a society is not there. Correct. Unfortunately, if the problem arises, most of the people say, people that ever a good general will be preparing for an investment. And you can see what's happening. We have first Nigerian police structure on ground. We are having security threats. We have the DSS on ground. We are having security threats. We have the civil defense on ground. We are having security threats. We have the army. Let me careful. We have to look for standards. Before this bandit come to your door and be killing people like chicken. What are you talking about? You are saying that police don't care what federal police are doing. You are looking for a victim. If say police be trained, what we have negatively, we are not looking the positive side of it. Life is precious. Your the defense of life and property is even more important than partisan politics. So what I'm saying, our leader have already said for that there will be a electricity that will get against the finance of the state police. That's that you don't just come here and say you are against police because your comrade are spoken. I know what I'm passing through for the past 6 years. And they are you guys that was talking about OPC. You will say something about OPC after. We are talking of Comrade and business of some members of OPC. We are talking of members of 5 million people. There is no way you will have bad eggs. This one officer have done is no business. This is the wrong kind of office. So I'm glad with your comment. It's not here for me here to enter. If you agree that a lot of people that are being high position to be afraid, Dr. Joe, they said we should not allow comment. I was not a persuaded that we should allow people to come out. Because of what you don't go, Pastor Baka. So you can't be here and be embarrassed with comment because we are exercising our own feelings. I'm not one that benefit from state police if it's still being present. I'm just suggesting what we can do to be secure and please be safe from the way that is coming. Thank you.
Say we have had a fantastic lecture here today. We can all attest to a rich conversation that we have witnessed here today. We have had a rich conversation. We are bringing this meeting to close. And I'd like to invite the host of this event. Please, one house, please. One house, please. One house. This is not a problem. One house. One house. I'd like to invite the host. All right. One house.
Please, in Soweto, Africa, in Africa, Soweto, we are about a great meeting, we are about a great lecture. Very good. Please, let's focus on the positive as a case of like. I want to give the microphone to Alia, the host of this program, to do our best.
Thank you, Pastor B. I'm going to take both of them briefly and then make my own remarks. Then I want us to use three persons as contacts. We have lost a lot of persons. There's one person always running around here, who's wearing top. That I was you. That is right. When it was you, we were shocked that we were sitting on here. So we lost him in February. That was you. Now, where's this picture? No, this, okay, let me go to the speaking. This is Ben Hanley, a correspondent of Channels Television. He died while on official duty. He was going to cover an official assignment and he died. And I remember he was here like twice to cover Yinka Odumakin's program. After then the second person, Mr. Wasiu of now. Who know Wasiu? Someone always running around here. I think people get to know one thing. I found his school hospital. And then the person from Nigerian told me, Mr. Wasiu. So the third person, after that, we observe the silence. Now we lost is the coordinator, Franca, coordinator of Women Arise, FCT, and Center for Change. Look at her there, Franca, okay? We lost her January 26. And we lost a lot of personalities. On this note, because they were always, whenever it concerns Yinka Odumakin, it was always found. So please, can we all rise up and observe a minute silence for all the departed souls apart from the people that have gone, all those that have died. Let's please observe a minute silence. We also remember the victims of jobs in the two states as Plateau Prince, Benue, Kwara, and everywhere. We also observing this silence for them. Thank you. May the souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. Our comment also says, "May they rest in power." I will not go on 10 minutes, but I will take the both of them. First and foremost, I want to thank, on behalf of Okei-Odumakin Foundation and Yinka Odumakin family, we want to thank God Almighty for His grace on us all. We also thank God for Yinka's life. We thank all those that have stood firm when Yinka was around. Those who supported him positively, we thank you. Seeing all the people that are here today, I thank all of you since Yinka Odumakin joined the Saints Triumphants. We thank all of you that you never turned your back on us. Thank you. The chairman of today's occasion, I thank you, Okei-Odumakin, for your balance. And Are is an example. At times it's mentioned that a friend in power is a friend lost. Are will be together in the trenches, and up to today is still standing back. Are was the last person that Yinka Odumakin saw before he was taken to the hospital because he attended like 10 programs that day. Are, thank you. NSC President, thank you. Where's FM? Toilets. I'm buying that one.
FS guest speaker, Honorable, thank you. Yes, at the University of Ilorin, when he came to deliver lecture, they were to arrest him. We smuggled him to my class. Instead, myself and three other companies left on my bed. So, thank you. Our Comrade Yinka you say, NSD president, thank you. When I called you when Washington, you said you'd be here today. I also tried. Thank you, thank you. Our own physical, I appreciate you. Abariki is not there. Henry, thank you. Larry, Arundadi, thank you. Our dear comrade from Scotland, Larry Lasisi, thank you. Always capturing the social media. My brother, former naval officer, Pastor Tony, is here with his beautiful wife. And then the family is the family head of Okey's family. And then Pastor Jacob Odumakin has been in UK since last year. He was to come for this program, but his son is here, Stephen Odumakin. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to thank each and everyone. If I start measuring names, I don't want to take you for granted because you need to go for lunch and some of you need to return to your respective destination. I thank each and everyone. I know all those who have come to this program today. I received the degree Abadi's test. It's at Yola Airport's flight, has been shifted. So at that, I will be raining every day as soon as they rain, and then I told her not to bother again. So all that I have their names on this program, they all promise and came here. Shatakeola, Abajabiku, and then several companies. Gentlemen of the press, what else can I say? Each time I see you, I just remember Yinka, but some of you were always around Yinka. Thank you. I'll go to the brief remarks. Yinka, in his lifetime, gave all. Yinka was so selfless. He gave all for the struggle. He was for a Nigerian that wants. Yinka was against ethnic demarcation. He never wanted a breakup. He wanted Nigeria to be restructured. And all his networks, one can attest to all. Yinka Odumakin, in his lifetime, believed that once a life is lost, that life can never ever be regained. And that was why he was so concerned about the security of this country. Together as comrades, we be together. I never knew that the day will come when I will wear
solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We shall always fight for our rights. In Africa, in Africa, in Soweto.
Thank you very much. I never knew that the day will come when I will wear Yinka's t-shirts because it's always there when I'm preparing to remember people, Kabiola, Kudirat, Peko, Chani, and several of them. This is ideas, his legacy, which is trailer road, has kept me on. As we speak today, Nigeria is like a volcano that will erupt anytime. We do not want Nigeria to erupt. We want a country that works. Yes, we are talking about state police. We have all the security apparatus in the state. We have in Yoruba land, we have in the north, we have in the east. One thing is certain that the umbilical cord for the survival of state police is for it to be structured in such a way that anarchy will not reign, in such a way that the people of Nigeria will benefit from state police, that no power drunk person will get hold of state police and use that to unleash mayhem. So it must be structured. For us to have a Nigeria that works, restructuring is very, very important. The report of 2014 conference is gathering dust. But most of the things we are saying, talking about the restructured country, we are going to have resource control. No individual will control those resources. We are going to have devolution. There will be decentralization through federalism. The federating units can operate as their own level. The military system that we are operating now cannot work. So all of us must agree in unison that Nigeria as a great country must get to that pedestal of respectability. And in order for us to get there, rule of law must always be respected. The judicial system must never be politicized. And we are talking about electoral acts. There are a lot of anomalies that is going on. But a true restructured Nigeria will put all these things into consideration and have a Nigeria that works. Finally, Yinka, you came and you conquered. Your ideas will never ever be forgotten. You are with the saints triumphant. I'm glad that you be happy that all the people gathered here have never turned their back on you. And that is my joy. We'll never ever forget the price that you paid. And with God on my side and on our side, we'll never let you down. Amen. The closing solidarity song. Remember, 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 yeah. Remember, 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 yeah. Remember, 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 yeah. Remember, Yinka, yeah. Remember, 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 yeah. Remember, selflessness, yeah. Remember, 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 yeah. Remember, sacrifice, yeah. When I remember, I remember this shadow. What a way, remember, Yinka. We remember restructuring. Thank you very much. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A very quick announcement. We want to go to a table to have an but we are going to do it in another manner. We are not allowed the men to service people to go to that. Once they are done, we are going to go row by row. We can assure you that everyone in the hall will be attended to. But we don't want that place to become round. Please, I'm begging for your donuts. Please, let's do it in an orderly manner. Thank you very much. I'm saying the item
have their own okay, so we're going to follow the lead from those.